Hamas is secretly winning this war. But how? See, Hamas is causing Israel to lose billions of dollars every day. Hamas aims to push Israel into a long war and collapse its economy. This has been happening recently. Some Latin American countries have taken a strong stance in support of Palestine, ending diplomatic relations with Israel and strongly condemning the continuous bombardment of the Gaza Strip. Colombia, Chile, and Bolivia in South America have emerged as some of the most outspoken critics of Israel. Colombia, one of the largest economies in Latin America, was one of the first countries to condemn the Israeli attacks on Gaza and recently recalled its ambassador for consultations. Not only this, Israel has also faced similar reactions in its geographical neighborhood, where Turkey, Bahrain, and Jordan have withdrawn their diplomats in the past month. Bahrain has also expelled the Israeli ambassador and suspended economic ties with Tel Aviv. All the countries have cited the humanitarian disaster in Gaza as the main reason. You might be thinking Israel is just defending itself. So why are these countries reacting this way? And how is Hamas winning in the Hamas-Israel war? This is Jabalia refugee camp, where Israel dropped 6 made-in-America bombs on the 31st of October. According to reports, the explosive power of each bomb was equal to 1 ton TNT. The entire refugee camp has now been destroyed. More than 400 people have died. And still, many children, many innocent Palestinians are buried under the rubble. Israel did not even try to deny it this time. They said, yes, they dropped the bomb to attack a terrorist in Hamas. What is happening in Gaza now is probably the biggest massacre of our lifetime. After the terrorist attack in Hamas, Israel had the right to take revenge and try to finish Hamas. But now this feeling of revenge has taken the form of a genocide. According to estimates, before this bloody attack, which just happened, Israel had already dropped the explosive quantity of Hiroshima bomb on Gaza. We are not talking about when bombing has reached its peak. On the night of the 28th of October, Israel shut down the entire Gaza Strip. Internet, electricity, mobile coverage, and even radio was shut down, so that the killing of Palestinians does not get any media coverage. Israel has also started ground invasion on multiple fronts, without giving clarity. Israeli forces have entered the Gaza Strip, and heavy firing has started. Meanwhile, a vote was held in the UN General Assembly to immediately cease fire. Many Western democracies voted against this ceasefire in the UN. WikiLeaks leaked a document of the Israel Ministry of Intelligence which recommended that all Palestinians from Gaza should be deported and thrown into the Sinai region of Egypt. And by the way, there is no need for a leak. Israel's long-term colonial plan is quite obvious. If you look at the map of 1947 and 2023, it becomes clear that the process of deportation is going on. The UN General Secretary has also said that the Hamas attack was not an accident. There is history. He said that the Palestinians were suffering for 56 years because of Israeli occupation. The Palestinians saw how their land was being eaten by the settlements. They are being tortured, their economy is being destroyed, their homes are being demolished, and they are being displaced. As per him, Hamas was attacking Israel in response to the decades-long violence. The Israeli government has now said that they will stop giving visas to UN officials. Hamas spokesperson has also said that 85% of their fighters are children whose parents were killed by Israeli airstrikes. The same children have grown up and learned to carry weapons. If this is true, just think how many orphans there are and how many orphans are going to be killed in the coming years. Western powers have designated Hamas as a terror group, but it doesn't even dare to go against Israel. When the US ambassador was making a speech at the UN, Israel was dropping US bombs on Gaza. Protection of civilians and upholding legal and humanitarian obligations resolution was passed with majority. Apart from Western democracies, the rest of the world is with Palestine, not Hamas. But nothing will change with a resolution. UN, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, all have shown how Israel is an apartheid state, how human rights violations are happening, how war crimes are happening, and how land occupation is happening. Human Rights Watch has confirmed that Israel has used white phosphorus, which is an illegal chemical weapon that can cause genetic defects in future generations. Israel has killed dozens of journalists. It has attacked their families, not only in Gaza, but in the West Bank too. Even though there is no Hamas in the West Bank, Israel has also frozen the tax money of the Palestinian Authority. So, the people there can't get any welfare. Israel is also continuing its air raids on Lebanon and Syria. Israel has done all this in broad daylight, in front of everyone. But now, the brutality that is going to happen will be in the dark. Because of Israel's blackout strategy, Palestinians will not be able to tell the world their story of death because all the communication routes are being blocked. There is no clean water to drink. Medicines are being stopped, diseases are spreading, Hundreds of children are being suppressed under the bed. The death toll is exponentially increasing because the international community is unable to do anything. The world can see, but closing their eyes is a different thing. The Security Council rejected the Russian resolution of the ceasefire as the USA and UK vetoed the Russian resolution for ceasefire. The biggest reason for the failure of the UN, ICC, and other international organizations is Western democracies, especially the US. The atrocities of Israel are being supported. White House spokespersons have said that Israel has no red line. Do what you want, it is a blank check. Until now, probably been raising the question in your mind why there is so much US support for Israel. People are seeing how politics works after what is happening in Gaza. The US has given $120 billion to Israel in military aid. This money comes from US tax, which is paid by a middle-class man. Israel buys the latest weapons from big rich people. Israel uses 92% of the weapons imported from the US. Then Israel flies F-35 planes and drops the made-in-US bomb on the children of Gaza, on the refugees, on the hospitals, and on the journalists. So, the money went from the pockets of the common man, but it came to the military-industrial complex and to their capitalists. And Israel dropped the bomb on the innocent Palestinians. This is called war business. In the US, UK, France, despite suppression, there are big protests. They are just asking for a ceasefire. People cannot accept that Palestinians are being killed with their tax money, and their government is supporting this genocide without permission. If a ban on Israel starts due to public pressure, Israel is going to face difficulties. And I think this is Hamas's plan. South Africa, which has emerged as one of the strongest global supporters for Palestine, could also completely cut off ties with Israel. A proposal on this is expected to be put for voting in Parliament this week, with some lawmakers calling for total severance of diplomatic relations with the brutal apartheid Israeli regime, while others are advocating for a more mediatory approach. While Israel has also recalled its ambassador from Pretoria, lawmakers in the South African Parliament will be voting to shut down the Israeli embassy. Over in Europe, Norway, Belgium, and Spain are weighing up the recognition of the state of Palestine. A bill passed with overwhelming majority in the Norwegian parliament asks the government to be ready to recognize Palestine as an independent state when recognition could have a positive impact on the peace process. In Spain, Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has said his new government will work nationally and within Europe to recognize the state of Palestine. And these developments are a significant diplomatic blow to Israel. On one hand, it is facing daily losses in the billions of dollars, and on the other hand, it is encountering a diplomatic backlash. Another blow is dealt when there is a conflict between all these factors. A meeting of 57 Muslim countries is held in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, where many issues are discussed, but the most important topic is the discussion about the Israel-Hamas war. During this, the majority of the countries demanded the implementation of 5 measures against Israel in light of the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza. These demands included stopping the transfer of military equipment to Israel from the American military bases in the Middle East, ending all diplomatic and economic ties with Israel, reducing oil sales to the USA by Israel, blocking Israel in the airspace of the Gulf, and sending a joint delegation to the USA, Europe, and Russia to pressure for a ceasefire. However, when individual opinions were sought, Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi, on his first visit to Saudi Arabia, said that Islamic countries should declare the Israeli military a terrorist organization for their treatment of Gaza. During the Islamic Arab Summit in Saudi Arabia, Algeria proposed that Arab countries should not have any political relations with Israel. They suggested that Arab nations should break ties with Israel, and Arab airspace should not permit Israeli flights. Egypt agreed with these proposals during the summit. Jordan, which shares a border with Israel, was somewhere in agreement with this statement. Egypt also suggested that if Israel captures Gaza, all Arab nations should collectively launch an attack on Israel. If, let's assume, Algeria says, and all the nations accept it after considering the situation, imagine what would happen to Israel. Israel would be isolated from all other countries, and it would have only one option: either engage in conflict with all the Arab countries or negotiate. The way Israel has shown aggression against Hamas, it's becoming difficult for Muslim countries to accept it as well. This could pose a significant challenge for Israel, which is already engaged in a 47-day conflict with Hamas and Hezbollah. A small-scale action by Arab countries against Israel, whether on the ground or at the diplomatic level, would result in a significant setback for Israel. This is precisely what Hamas desires. Even if Israel has acquired some land in the Gaza Strip today, the way major countries are ending diplomatic relations with Israel could prove to be very dangerous for Israel in the times to come. The damage it is facing during the ongoing conflict will continue to haunt it for years even after the war. Hamas wants the world's attention. Israel is not widely recognized as a legitimate state, and Hamas aims to perpetuate this perception. By doing so, Hamas is, in its own way, winning this war discreetly today.